everyone, it's me Sarah from FanGirl Review, and I thought I might take this opportunity to talk to you guys about the new Indiana Jones film, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now recently I've just watched it with my friend Alana and my dad, and we had a good time actually. We had a good time of getting our enjoying the movie a bit. Of course, I have a few issues with it myself. Like, I didn't like the female lead character very much, Helen. She tends to rub me the wrong way, and despite character development, she still doesn't do it for me, obviously. Also, it's sad that in this one, Harrison Ford continues to not age gracefully in this one. It's kind of sad. We do get at the opening scene where he is back in World War II and he's fighting the Nazis, and he tries to get onto the gold train, a legendary train which had lots of artifacts according to legend somewhere, and he tries to get us tries to get the one of the spear of whatever, a spear that would pierce Jesus' side and stuff like that. Of course, the Nazis think it's a magical relic. You know how Hitler is. So anyway, Indy eventually he finds something much more valuable that belongs to a Lloyd, German scientist who is obsessed with trying to win this war, obviously, and they eventually steal the dial from the Nazis, and this is around the time when World War II ended, obviously, and the Allied troops won and the Germans lost, obviously, and stuff like that. Then we cross over to 1967, I think it was, and at this time, Indy is a washed out, professor at the university. No one is interested in his historic teachings. It's a transition to from all the girls at his school loved him. A lot of girls seem to have loved to watch him teach, and now it seems like not too many students are taking interest in his classroom workshop anymore. So he ends up retiring. This is his final day. And at this point in this time, he's lost a lot of people in his life now. He lost his son, who fought in the war, Vietnam War, just so you guys know. This is, as I said before, this is around the time when the Vietnam War was at the time. So his son joins up and he gets killed. It's a bit sad for me. I was hoping that Matt will return and resume trying to follow in his father's footsteps, and sadly, like Indy, who was fighting in the war back in Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, he did fight the war and he came back alive from it, unlike his son who couldn't come back at all. And at this point, Indy's wife Marion is they separated or divorced, and let's just say everything in Indy's life is not going so well. So he's no longer living in his nice little accommodations. He's living in a hotel that's probably run down, and he's not really happy. Anyway, he then runs into his goddaughter Helen, who wants him to help her obtain the Dial of Destiny sort of thing, and which he hopes to, try to reunite with another piece, hopefully. Of course, Indy doesn't feel up to it because he's retired, and I don't think he's too much into archaeology anymore, sadly. So it's really sad at this point in time. So it's sad to see him so run down. Anyway, they do eventually go chasing after it, and they get chased down by the old Nazi scientist who was working on the Americans space shuttle mission, which the first one, obviously, the Apollo 11. And it's so you do find a lot of people are really excited about the Apollo mission, stuff like that, and they're not really. And so it seems that Bold is sort of working for the Allies. Of course he's not. He's working for his own ends, as it turns out. He wants to look for the dial so he can control time itself, not just space exploration. I mean, he wants to control the time itself and all stuff. Anyway, they eventually go chasing for it, and we find out here Helen's hidden agenda, where she is actually selling artifacts to better her own lifestyle. So I don't like her very much. At this point, I can't stand her, because I hate the fact that the studios are probably looking at maybe making a TV spin-off series about her, and I don't really want to hopefully one day review that one anytime soon, because I don't like her character, and I don't like how that she's a very selfish individual. Anyway, so moving on. So Indy goes tracking down the artifact, and eventually he also runs into his old friend Sala, who wants to go back on to do one last adventure, one last hurrah for adventure, stuff like that. But of course, we don't see him again, and until the very end, obviously. Anyway, soon enough, Indy reunites with another person who helps him attain a clue to lead them to the next piece. And eventually, Indy of course gets the bad guys catch up to him, and they plan on stealing the item off him. Luckily enough, Helen was able to sort of, using her smart brain, tries to manipulate the baddie guys, of course, by trying to squeeze them a bit of money in order to be able to get the information out, obviously, from this item they found. Of course, they eventually trick them, and they eventually head to the next place, which is somewhere in Rome, obviously. Not Rome, Greece, sorry, I forgot. So they end up heading to sort of caves underneath the Colosseum, and there we actually see them obtain the second half of the item, and the bad guys eventually catch up to them. You can't go wrong with them catching Indy in the act of trying to find an item. And Indy, they're about to put the pieces together, and soon enough, whoa, really cool. And of course you're wondering, is this when the time travel thing starts? Not quite, folks. It seems that they have to use a special go through in the eye of the storm in order to make the thing work. They end up taking an injured Indy with them. At this point, Helen and her little sidekick, go chasing after them, of course. And eventually they arrive at the airstrip base where the Void and his troops start dressing as Nazis, and they plan to go back in time to kill Hitler, obviously. That's their plan, because I think Hitler is the likely person who caused them to lose and all that stuff. Not the Allied troops, not the Winston Churchill, not the whoever else comes to mind that may have made us win the war. Of course, according to some people, we didn't win, the Germans just lost, obviously. Anyway, so they start chartering a course towards the eye of the storm, obviously. And as they get closer and closer to it, soon enough, the Indy notices something about the device. Not notice about the device. He notices something where it's dealing with some shifting, and he says that they're not heading back to when World War II was. It turns out they were heading towards a different time, and it turns out we are heading towards ancient times. And there we actually meet the creator for the dial, and there these Nazis don't realize that they've just traveled too many years back before Hitler was even born, for that matter. So they end up being in a bit of a pickle, in fact. Eventually, Helen and Indy, they end up parachuting out, and before the plane ends up crashing and stuff. And Indy, at this point, he wants to stay and experience history as it unfolds. Of course, Helen says that if he stays, you may change history, stuff like that, which could happen. I would have loved it if somehow Indy takes over from the guy who created the dial, like sort of creating something a little bit more, something interesting there. I mean, he learned history, stuff like that, and he could probably use that learning and maybe even better the universe, stuff like that, or even just follow the directions the similar creator did to the letter, and without altering the future and stuff like that. That's just my opinion, obviously. So anyway, but Indy in the end, he ends up back in the 1967 again, and there he meets Helen, Tim, and Sala, and his old flame, Marion, and they reconnect, and then the credits roll, obviously. Now, what do I think about this version of this new Indiana Jones film? Well, I'm really disappointed. Lots of other people have told me this in the past, and I kind of agree. I'm also disappointed about this this new movie. I was hoping it would be better and stuff like that. I mean, like so many people who dislike Crystal Skulls, I'm up there with them, but there were some things I liked about the Crystal Skulls, I will admit. I like the fact he gets reconnected with his old love. He also has a son, and we have a continuation of his journey, and by marrying his old love, and he ends up not feeling lonely anymore. Of course, in this one, I feel like even though he's got Marion back in his life, I still feel like Indy is alone because he lost his son, and it's kind of sad when I think about it. I was hoping that when they do the Indiana Jones 5th movie, I was hoping with bated breath that Matt will return and sort of be following his father's footsteps, become an archaeologist, or something even better than an archaeologist, have a future, stuff like that. Of course, not this being the case, it didn't happen, sadly. I almost wish somehow they were able to control time and be able to go back in time and save Matt from getting killed in Vietnam War. Maybe now they had the dial, they could do just that, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, because now this is the 5th movie and this is the final movie. It may not happen now. So I'm going to give this movie, I think I'm going to have this movie a lot. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 for this one. I'm sorry, folks, guys. It feels like I'm really let down by this movie in a big way, and I wish I could have made this a lot more good. I like the excitement it brought to the big screen, stuff like that. It was great re-watching a Indiana Jones movie again, but I feel like it's he's aged. The Indiana Jones. I know everyone has reminded me over and over and over and over again that Indy is no longer the strong but heroic man in this one. It's more like he's now pretty much moved. He's now retired professor, and there's no point of having him around anymore because he doesn't have the stamina to keep kids interested in archaeology, and he no longer has that drive to actually experience archaeology. It's sad. And without Marion and Matt in his life, it seems it would have been better if he stayed in the ancient times. It would have, I guess he would have experienced that time. But I guess the message is that in this movie is that we kind of make history as we go along. We create history, and if he kind of stays there, he will be disrupting that particular history. So in order to be part of history, you have to be a part of it in the present. I mean, every day we often create history. I create history by making movies and making stories come to life. So that's no different from what Indy's going through. So he's actually made lots of history thanks to his actions. So thanks to his efforts, he has made history from it, from experiencing it himself, you know, from the Indiana Jones Chronicles to when he becomes an adult. So anyway, as I said before, this movie is not one of my best Indiana Jones movies, and I'm not going to knock Crystal Skulls, but I think that Crystal Skulls had a few things I liked about it. I'm not going to say anything I don't like the UFO stuff, but I liked the other stuff that made it work. That's all I'm saying about it. Anyway, that's about it from these guys today. So I'll be sure to let you guys know when my next video is on. Be sure to leave a like and comments and subscribe to my videos. That's if you want to continue watching them. That's very important. So be sure to continue watching and let me know in the comments what you guys think of my latest review. Alright, that's it from me today, guys. So I'll see you guys next time. This is Stephenson from FanGirl Reviews, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.